One big characteristic I've seen with Lewis is any free minute of time he doesn't have his obligations, working or family, he wants to be on the water, whether it's lake, river, or pond.
I fished with a lot of people before, but it's different fishing with Lewis. He always stays positive, keeps a good attitude, and just very focused and driven on what he's doing.
When I was younger, early teens and everything, my mom, she would drop me off at the local lake. She was in college at the time, and the particular college that she went to had two little small lakes on it, and she'd come and pick me up later on in the day. And that's when I really started honing my skills and really coming into my own as a bass angler, and really building that love for the sport. Was back in those really crucial years. Those same lakes, I caught my first really good sized fish, a 6-pound, 23.5-inch largemouth. That was my first citation that I ever caught. It was 13, I even remember the day. And that really, set it off. That's when I really knew that, that's what I wanted to do, and that's when I got it in my head that, I want to, be a professional bass angler, and, was still striving for that. That's the overall goal. That's the lifelong goal, is to make it to that level.
The first time I met Lewis was at a store across town called Sportsman's Deals, and he had a fishing rod in his hand in the store, and he was flipping and pitching a jig under a table. I said, "Why are you doing that?" He said, "I got to get all the practice I need in so I can perfect what I'm doing."
Lewis has a vision. He's got a game plan. He's created a goal, and he's not going to stop till he gets there.
Ooh, there's another bite. Oh, you got it? Nope. Got a bunch of bluegills back here. It's a nice little area though, but I'm just fishing shade and any kind of cover that's gonna throw some shade. I mean, this water's still 80+ degrees. These fish are about like us. They don't have to. They don't necessarily want to be in direct sunlight unless there's a big old brush pile sitting out in 20 foot of water or something, where it's a little bit cooler. But these fish back here, they're going to be resident fish, so they're going to look for that nice logs, and they might even relate to some rocks a little bit, just because the bait fish will get up in those crevices and stuff like that. But I'm really focusing right now on this wood, shallower wood.
Well, what separates Lewis from other fishermen I've seen is he'll take, say, for example, a chatterbait and might throw it in a non-typical place where most fishermen fish a chatterbait. So he just kind of goes outside of the box on baits he can use to get a different result.
A lot of people, most people out here, if you ask them, oh, these, Smith Mountain lake fish, they don't bite a chatterbait. I pride myself on, having to have figured it out, so to speak, or figured out a way to make them bite. Especially springtime. That's one of my spring and fall. They're some of my favorite times to throw it. And even colors. I don't necessarily throw the usual green pumpkin, with a chartreuse tail, all the time. I'll throw just about anything, or I'll try anything.
Lewis is the person that kind of got me started into tournament fishing. I didn't know a whole lot about it, so he had 4 years experience when I met him.
Been fishing the BFLs as a co-angler for the last 4 years. Looking to go to the boater side next year, with hopes of doing well and gaining experience in that field, or at that level, to hopefully take that to the next level of competing in the opens and coastas as a boater within the next 2 to 3 years. Of course, with the end game being making either the Elite Series or the FLW Tour. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of dedication, and a lot of funds, definitely. But you know, I think I had the correct work ethic and, you know, the passion and the drive to make it there. As a co-angler in the BFLs, I've amassed 2 top 10s, you know, 10 top 25s, placed in the money 4 times, and have qualified for regionals the last 2 years in a row. January 7th, 2019 was the scariest day of my life. It was a regular start to the week, the work week. I was a machine operator for a corrugation company up until here recently, and you know, we ran several orders that morning. It's right before break. We start this new order, and I'm on the feed end. I'm feeding the machine or feeding the corrugation into or the corrugated sheets into the machine. And the way that it was set up, one of the guides, the main guide that you move, or the opposite of the lead edge, I'd moved it because there was a different size paper, and it had left from the previous orders that we had. It had left some dust, and I went to dust the machine while I was running and went too far towards the rolls, and it caught my 4 fingers on my dominant right hand and took me into the machine. I hollered for help and everything, and you know, they got after about 30 to 40 seconds, you know, they got the machine cut off and got the print roll, the rolls, the feed rolls loosened up to where I could pull my hand out. To be completely honest with you, I was expecting my fingers to fall out on the other end, opposite end of the machine. That was the most excruciating pain I've ever been through. It took, you know, 37 stitches and 5.5 hours in surgery to put things back together, and not to mention, you know, the 6 months of rehab and 3 weeks of lost time, you know, from working.
Lewis early in the year had an injury to his hand on his work site, and before that happened, he was just really himself every day, just really passionate. I'm going to fish tomorrow. I'm gonna buy these lures. I'm gonna go out with my friends and take them to this one to the pond fishing, this one to the lake fishing, and fish some tournaments. But when that injury happened, for a second it kind of zapped his spirit. But then he came and we talked, and he talked about, hey, I'm gonna overcome this. I went to the doctor. The doctor said I need to just take it easy and don't do any fishing. He said, well, I'll just learn how to fish and cast with this other hand. So he didn't let a serious injury that could have ruined his fishing career be an obstacle to him, which is really motivating, because when you see a person that has a bright future and possibly he could lose it all, he never lost focus of he would be able to recover from the injury and even make himself a better fisherman and person after he received that injury.
I know my goals may seem unattainable to some people and will require a lot of effort and time, but I'm willing to pay my dues to get to where I want to be. I just finished talking about how, you know, how great of a bait the D-Bomb is, and how much I love that Superbug color. And as soon as we cut the camera off, you know, I even called my shot up, you know, saying how nice that little rock jet, or the little rock that jets out, looks. And sure enough, you know, it's a nice flat bank for the most part. Not a whole lot going on, but that rock just comes out just enough to change up the bank a little bit. And sure enough, just brought it to the end of that rock, and wham bam, thank you ma'am. We got a nice, I don't know, 2 3/4, maybe 3 pound largemouth.